Delarite, my MVVs, welcome. Yes, so report reaching us right now is that the Omi Aye ceremony, the washing of the jewel's feet with 7 sacred waters, signifying her return to her full spiritual throne before Ofarende has already been done. They said this ritual was supposed to be done days before Ofarende. That ritual has also been completed. Sorry about that sound. It does look as if they are sawing a tree that almost, disrupted a particular roof in a garden that is around us, okay? Now, in Yoruba land, there is a simple truth people say quietly when a woman returns to the position destiny gave her. And they usually say it like, when water clears our eyes, we begin to see our path. That was exactly how the Omi Aye ceremony felt for the jewel. Everything that had, scattered around her life for years finally began to, arrange itself with a calm authority that nobody could, deny. The ceremony was held this morning, long before the noise of, daily movement began. The air was still, the ground cold, and there was a kind of silent expectation around the palace that even people who didn't fully understand the tradition could sense. The jewel arrived quietly, not dressed like someone entering a battlefield, not moving like someone competing for attention, but walking steadily like a woman who knew her identity had already been stamped in places her hands had not touched. She had become a symbol of balance again, even without, trying. 7 sacred waters had been fetched the day before from different locations connected to her spiritual lineage. Each water represented a phase of her journey, the battles she fought, the sacrifices she did, talk about the humiliation she survived, and the strength she rebelled when nobody believed she would rise again. The ceremony was not about making her something new. It was about restoring what had always been there. The first water touched her feet, cold and steady. It represented cleansing, not because she was unclean, but because the path ahead requires a level of purity that only the ancestors understand. Or understood rather. The people around her watched in silence. Nobody spoke, nobody needed to. They were witnessing a woman being spiritually prepared for step into a phase that demanded clarity and courage, even though she remained a dedicated Christian who didn't bow to idols or follow ancestral rituals personally. The culture still recognized her position. That was why Adetutu stood in for her in every traditional matter, carrying out the physical aspect while the dual spirit remained covered. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Delaram. I bring you fresh and spicy just from the sources still on the royals. How are you guys doing? I appreciate you so much. I love you. Share and do well, my people. If you're yet to subscribe, kindly go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and do not forget to turn on the notification bell, and do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. Happy new week to you. I appreciate you guys so much. Delarite, I love you from the depth of my heart. Delarite, my Delarite, my Delarite. Delarite, my own people. Delarite, my Delarite, my Delarite, my super people. Eshe o, adukbe o, my people. Now they said the second water represented restoration. It was a reminder that everything taken from her, peace, honor, stability, her rightful place was coming back piece by piece. People had laughed at her, mocked her, pulled her name through spiritual and emotional mud, but this water symbolized that nothing thrown at her had stuck. Her destiny remained intact, okay? Now, the third water was for protection. This is necessary, or was necessary, because of Ofarende, the final reconciliation and public restoration was not all. It's not just a ceremony, but a shift of power. It would expose her again to eyes waiting to see cracks. The water they said is to ensure that her steps were gathered, that no attack, spiritual, emotional, or physical, would stand against her. Even Adetutu felt the weight of this one because she understood the level of warfare happening behind the scenes. Now, the fourth what I'm taking out time to explain this to you so you get to understand, okay? I don't like to give you half-baked story with no details, okay? Even though I try to guide the details, okay? Now, the fourth water represents alleviation. It signifies that she is not returning to the same position she once held. She is returning higher. Her life had broken her before, but somehow the breaking had created space for more strength. Her story had turned her into someone deeper and wiser. People who understood her now realized they never actually knew her. That water flowed slowly over her feet as if confirming that she was stepping into a level no one could pull her from again. Now, the fifth water represented peace. Real peace, the kind that is not determined by circumstances or people's opinion. The Jewel had been through storms that could have destroyed her from the inside. She had survived heartbreak, conspiracies, jealousy, and even spiritual attack that most people could not imagine. Yet she stood there calm, carrying a peace that came from somewhere higher than the palace walls. The sixth water was for authority. It meant she was not returning as someone begging for acceptance. Her presence itself is authority. Her decision carries weight. Her silence carries weight. Even her mere existence shook people who had hoped she would never come back. This water marked her as a woman who had nothing to prove but everything to command. Now they say the seventh water and final water was the one that sealed everything. It signifies destiny. This is the water that acknowledged that her journey had been spiritual from the start. It is the water that recognized that no matter what happened, she was chosen. It carried the message that her place beside the great lion is not based on competition, public approval, or the plans of jealous rival. It is based on divine order. When the ceremony ended, there was no loud celebration, there was no shouting, no dramatic display, no need for anyone to tell her she was restored. The atmosphere itself confirmed it. Something around her had shifted. Even those who didn't fully understand tradition felt the weight of what had just happened. A woman who had been through storm walked away with calm feet, steady steps, and a restored spiritual throne. Adetutu stayed behind her to complete the final closing ritual on her behalf. The Jewel simply returned to her quiet space, still humble, still calm, still focused on her faith, but everything around her had changed. Now, you know, when God puts you in a position, the truth is that there's nobody that has the audacity or the authority to push you out. No matter how much they try, God is going to come through for you. And God will always prove to them that, yes, indeed, I was the one who put her in that position. That happens to be what has happened to the Jewel right now. I'm going to bring you more update. Do not forget that these are all alleged, Ramadan verified information making the rounds on social media and should not be seen as fact.